Hey guys, doing another video request. This time it's going to be on the Stardew Valley Expanded Mod. So I'm going to do probably a quick walkthrough and show you as much as I can without going to too many spoilers, but there's going to be plenty of different things to discover. And even if you have played it before, maybe there's a few things that you missed or you didn't even know were in the game. And also stay tuned till the very end. I'm going to give you some tips or things that I wish I knew sooner. Okay, so the first thing to get Stardew Valley fully, you're going to want to go to either Nexus or ModDrop and download all the requirements that they have just under the Requirements tab under the Expanded Mod. And I recommend starting a new game with this one. Plus, there's 2 farms that you could pick from. There's Grandpa's farm and the immersive farm. When you go download the mods, you'll see that there's 3 different ones. The top one is just going to be the base, and then the bottom 2 are for the farms. And you don't need to download both of them, just whichever one you want to pick. Don't download both, just either pick one or the other one. I put both of them on screen to kind of help, but there should be pictures here on the Nexus site. This game is almost like a game in itself. It includes a large number of new locations, events, maps, reimagined festivals, new content for some of our familiar faces, and some more faces in general. So let's get started. The first thing is that Robin is going to be the one to welcome us in, rather than Mayor Lewis. She'll give us a tour of the farm. And then let's head into town. So the first thing you'll notice leaving your farm is that there's a little dip off. We're going to go over that a little bit later. So let's go to the main part. You can see everyone has their own little garden. There's community gardens, but everyone has their own little plot of little land that they take care of, which I think is really adorable. Joja and the area around there looks nicer. Morris can now have heart events. We can make friends with him, but he's not a marriage candidate. But you do get to know him a little bit better and his background. We also get to meet the cashier that was at Joja Mart. Her name is Claire, and she's actually an NPC that you can marry. There was also an office added to Joja Mart, and Morris actually becomes even more involved with the city later on if you pick the Joja route. And we have Victor and Olivia that live in the, I think, Jenkins household. And then we have Martin. A few people ask why he's not a marriage candidate. It's because he's a child. But he also works at Joja Mart. Oh, Gunther can now also be a friendship person. You can make friends with Gunther. He's not a marriage candidate, but you can have heart events with him. And then there's new locations in general that were added. I haven't got to this point yet, but this is the apothecary, and I'm super excited to unlock all those other things. Okay, let's go down towards the beach. This is where the Blue Moon Vineyard is. Sophia is another new NPC. You've probably seen her picture a lot. She's a very popular marriage candidate. Just kind of wander around and look around, click on everything. That is one thing I noticed, that they show a lot more click on in people's homes. And also Dusty. You can now pet Dusty. His little picture that they put is so adorable. And then we have another farm where Andy is. He's in the Fairhaven farm. And then there's Susan. Susan doesn't get introduced until the Boulder is removed, because her farm is Emerald Farm, that's inside or near the train station. Most of them have a little note on the floor somewhere that you can open up, and then also books. Like if you go to their shelves, usually there's at least 3 different books. So just other little neat things to go discover. But yeah, I check all the bookshelves and just everything like that. Apparently Susan is very clean. Okay, and then after you get that unlocked, you'll also get a quest from Clint to move this other boulder. You'll just have to go back to his shop and he'll let you know what you need. And there's a chest and you'll just put your things in there. And then there is Lance. This is what all the hype is about. You meet him after you finish the volcano for the first time. And you'll get him later on, but that's just where you'll meet him. And then also there's a few more just as a sneak peek. I won't go too much into it because spoilers and all. The next decision to make is between the community center and the Joja route. While I usually pick the community center, the Joja route is a little more enticing on this mod, I'm not gonna lie. With both, you get a new festival type of day every 22nd of the month. After you finish each of the routes, you'll get either a community day or a Joja day. And in the community center, everyone just kind of gathers, which is nice for, you know, leveling up friendships and talking to everyone. But if you pick the Joja route, there's a few new items that you actually get. Morris stays in town. He does some renovations to the town and just a few other things. So it's going to be a harder one to pick, in my opinion. I think with the expanded, it kind of entices you more to get those friendship hearts with everyone because there's a lot more like quests and things that get triggered with these heart events. Okay, next thing is that the mines in the guild moved and there's more to the guild now. So on top of there being like the, you know, Monster Slayer awards and stuff like that, there's going to be extra characters that you meet with the guild and extra quests. So you're definitely going to want to get your hearts up with Marlin because he's kind of the key to a few things later on. But once you get his boat quest, that's when you'll unlock another location. And this new location is the Highlands area. That's where you'll find Lance a lot of the times. And there's just a new area to explore. There's even another mine that you can get to in the Highlands, and there's like a little like maze almost that you follow around with kind of a boss at the end, which is pretty cool. So definitely explore around the Highlands area once you get it unlocked. And another thing that changed a little bit is the desert. When you first go in, you'll notice it's a little bit different than the vanilla game. Even the decor at the Sandy Oasis has changed. And with Sandy, there's a few more cutscenes that you get, so you'll get to see her a little bit more and kind of get to know her better. Which in the vanilla game, I just don't think we got as much for the character, and I just really wanted more. And the location of the Skull Caverns also changed. When you get a totem, you'll land somewhere up here, but the Skull Caverns is just down over here. Another cool thing is that there's going to be more magic introduced. We'll get to learn more and just see more magic in general. Eventually unlocking some other new items, which I won't give away yet. Definitely worth playing and trying to unlock as much things as possible, because they put a lot of things in the later game. Oh, and the wizard. You can now marry the wizard. So he's a new marriage candidate. We get to see different heart events with him. There's also other new items that were added. One was the golden piggy bank. You get it after earning $10 million. It's pretty cool looking. You can put money in it, but it's just a decoration. So I suggest not putting money in it because you can't get it back out. We tried. But still a cool addition. On top of that, there is also new crops and more new locations. Junimo Woods being one of them, the Sprite Springs, and there was the other area I mentioned earlier to the right of your farm. You just have to clear the path going to it and then collect some resources for Robin to fix it. And you can put casks in here, and there's a greenhouse upstairs. And then the Enchanted Grove. And then the Highlands area, like I had mentioned before. And some of these new locations take quite a bit of time to get it. Some of them have requirements of being in the valley for a certain amount of time, or getting a certain heart cutscene with someone, or just different prerequisites. So just keep playing and trying out the different things, and then more things will just keep coming out. Like the Enchanted Grove, for example, that's one thing with, you know, all these new locations and this very expanded map. It does take quite a bit to walk everywhere, which, yeah, it can get a little much, but just hang in there, because towards the later game, you do get to learn how to do those enchantments that I showed on the screen, the the grove, so that way you can transport to different places and make it quicker. And then there's going to be other places that I haven't even got to, like the Castle Village Outpost and Crimson Badlands, which is going to be super fun to try, and I can't wait to keep exploring. So let's go into the tips now. The first one is very early on in the game, I suggest going to the West Cindersap Forest, because there's going to be a lot of forageables and different artifacts that you can find there. But the most important is you can find a forest sword there, which is going to be a lot better than the beginning sword you get after opening up the mines. Next tip is for Claire the cashier. You have to have at least 6 hearts with her if you want her to stick around if you pick the community center. But she will eventually come back after you fix the movie theater, because she'll end up working there. But if you wanted to romance her, just make sure you have the 6 hearts if you go the community center route. Next is to also have at least 2 hearts with Marlin before getting to the bottom of the mines. And this is one of my favorite additions. I've always loved Krobus, and this is a way you can bypass donating all 60 items to the museum. If you have the 2 hearts, once you finish the mine, you'll get a cutscene with Marlin, and he'll actually introduce you to Krobus. So you bet I went down those mines really quick. And the next is Sophie is going to sell I think it's called aged blue wine. It's a little bit pricey, but it has +7 lucky buff. So it's going to be a really good item. And then also befriending Susan as early as you can, because she's going to give you cheaper recipes to make the cask, kegs, and the preserves. And really anybody that's a new NPC, I would say, is worth trying to befriend early on, because they are going to give you some pretty good recipes or different things. And then last thing is I'm going to show you where the sword in the desert moved, because it threw me off when I first went. It's going to be just south of everything, and I'll show you a picture so you can get there once you unlock the desert, so you can go get your galaxy sword. But yeah, there were so many things to discover, and there's so many other things that I look forward to getting to. Leave any questions or video requests down below, and happy exploring!